Welcome to Billion Dollar Marketing Secrets Over Coffee with Biz Coach Steve Feld. Biz Coach Steve interviews fellow successful business owners about the strategies they have used to grow their businesses, and in turn, you can use them to help you navigate your business towards success. Ready to learn strategies to grow your business with less stress and build a long-term sustainable business to exceed your personal and business financial goals to build the business of your dreams? Well, you have come to the right place. Please welcome Biz Coach Steve Feld.
Well, hello, fellow business owners. Welcome to another episode of Experts Over Coffee. I'm Coach Steve Feld, and my goal is to stop business owners from suffering entrepreneurial depression and start making run their businesses much easier, have more fun, and be highly profitable so they can reach those 7+ figures. Today, we have another great guest for you. We have James Vasquez. Now, James, this one's great. Now, he's an entrepreneur, and he's built only 3 companies, and he's worked for the original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank. His background is in marketing, building brands, and business development. Currently, his business helps aspiring entrepreneurs and everyday people to start the business of their own. Yes. He's using his vast business background and the lessons he's learned from working with the TV Shark and other leaders. James is enthusiastic, he's passionate about business and helping others succeed. So please welcome James.
Steve, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me here today.
Well, thanks for being here. You know, you have a very diverse background, and we were kind of chatting about some things before we hit the record button. But your intro gives us a little bit about it. So tell us about the 3 companies, or how'd you start in business? I mean, where was that spark going? You know what? I can do this better.
Well, Steve, as perhaps most people, they always have an idea that they'd like to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. And I guess back when I was a child, I had that enthusiasm to want to do things. I remember my mom telling me I used to do tattoos and marker on kids in the neighborhood and sell them for certain things. So I was always doing something. But then just like life happens, I went to school, and throughout school, I have my bachelor's degree in advertising and a master's degree in marketing. I went into the corporate sector thinking that's really what I wanted to do. And I'm actually happy I did that because I had a really good perspective of things going to work for someone else. And I worked at a pretty large company in corporate America. So I had a lot of structure, which I learned that I don't like to have in my own business. And I'll get into that too. Well, that was where I really learned that I was really good at building teams, at getting things done in an efficient manner, and really solving problems. So my first venture, as you and I were discussing, I went into the franchise business model. I opened a franchise and started that on my own. I did that for over a decade. And after having a lot of business background and experience in that, I transitioned into having a consultancy. So I built into a marketing consultancy business, and I started working with just small and mid-sized business owners to really bridge the gap between traditional marketing and online marketing, because I saw that there was a tremendous need. Then after that, I pivoted into another business where I worked with the original shark from the TV show Shark Tank, and I created more events. Nationally, we would go on speaking engagements to share information about marketing and about what's going on in the industry and how to improve your business. So we worked with entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders to be able to do that in most major markets and major cities. So with that eclectic background that you and I were talking about, I was able to take that. And now what I'm doing is I'm sharing that with everyday people and aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to start a business of their own. And I try to work with them to help them formulate and understand either the pitfalls and the things to look out for so that they can move their business forward and really express what they need to know just to get started and have that helping hand then.
Well, I got to ask, because I know it's on people's minds. It's like, so how did you get connected with a shark?
That's an interesting story. So one of my clients at the time, his name's Phil Smith, and he and I had a brand that we were building for him. And so one of the thoughts that we had was if we could just kind of work with a brand that's bigger than ours, then we could really have higher credibility, establish more expertise. How can we do that? So we didn't want to go on the show. We were like, you know what, that's something that we'll probably never be able to do because of just the process, the length of time, the waiting list is over years. So what we did is we actually used what we know best is digital marketing, and we created a digital marketing campaign through email and basically spammed all the sharks that we know have either been on the show or on the cast currently. And two sharks got back to me. One of them was Barbara Corcoran's team, and they reached out and they said, "Listen, thank you for reaching out." But they said that it wasn't the business model they were looking to work with because they were more ingrained in real estate. And then Kevin Harrington's team reached out to us and said, "Hey, I would like to hear what you like to say. Would you be able to meet us?" And we took a flight down to St. Petersburg, and then that's how we met him and started working with him ever since.
Excellent. I think that just shows to anyone, any business out there, if you're looking for a sponsor, you're looking to meet the right people, just go after it. It's the tenacity, and that's the drive that successful business owners have is, to go get them, go about it differently.
Absolutely. And you know what, Steve? It's funny that you say that because when Kevin met with us, he says, I have to tell you, he's like, I come across people that are reaching out to us all the time. They're usually pitching us about the business that they have, what they're looking for in terms of monetary gain. And we didn't have that. Our approach is completely different. And he said, that made you guys stand out. He said, your follow up was relentless. And as you know, Steve, as a business owner, you need to have that relentless pursuit. You have to be pushy, but not too over the top. And you want to be able to make sure you maintain your professional integrity. So persistence is absolutely key. And we tried to do that. And in the end, it worked.
Exactly. A great example of that is Jeff Bezos. If he wasn't persistent in getting a $10,000 loan to start that company, Amazon, there would be no Amazon because 47 banks said no.
Right, exactly. It only takes one to say yes, and then the rest is
48
history.
is the magic number. I hope people are listening and realizing, to build your business, you have to do a couple things. Go about it differently, and then there's follow. And it's be relentless with your mission. Yes. You're true to who you want to be and what your mission is and what your business is. Be crystal clear on that. And then it's follow up, follow up, follow up. I'm a big person about follow up.
I can't agree with you more. I mean, Steve, that has always been my mantra as well. I also say if it has to be, it's up to me. That's something I always say because at the end of the day, we control our own actions as business owners. So if there's something that doesn't get done and you want it done, it's still up to you. Even if you hire an external resource, a contractor, a business, a team, at the end of the day, what you need done is up to you to get it done. You're hiring a resource to help you with that, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So you're 100% right.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I know you're working with startups and helping them build a business, which I think is a big need. I've been teaching, we were talking about this. I've been teaching a class called ABCs of Starting a Business and for entrepreneurs, but you're taking it to a different level. Can you tell us about your new venture? I guess you're saying
Sure.
Expanding on it.
Sure, Steve. Thanks. So our business is learnhowtostartabusiness.net. And what it is, we do also work with the entrepreneurs, as you had so mentioned, Steve. But what we do is we take that level of, I guess you could say, excitement and enthusiasm that one has in their mind's eye to want to start a business and really train them and teach them to mold and sculpt what it is that they want. Sometimes what they find is that they have an idea that they want to be in business, but then they recognize that the business itself is not what they love. It's a passion they have. I'll give you one example. I had a gentleman who was awesome at fixing cars, and he was really good at fixing cars with the engine work and all this stuff. And he did that on the side of what he was currently doing. He was thinking, you know what, I could start my own business doing this. Well, when we started working with him, he started to fast realized quickly that his passion was working on cars, but he didn't want to do it as a business. Instead, what he really was learning was that he could package what he learned and knows and is an expert in and create a video series. And that is the business that he's in now. So he's still working on cars, which is his passion. But through our process of working together, he learned that maybe it's not opening up a shop as a traditional sense. Let me start and key in on my focus and let's use that as a business. So a lot of times people have those aha moments. Other times people just go through the motions of starting their own business and continuing because, as you know, Steve, because I know you teach this too, people just don't really know the steps that are involved. Even starting a company, the naming of the company, the registering of the name, all of those little details that just are necessary to start a business. But then when you start to really get into the planning and just opening the business, and I mean, whether it's a bricks and mortar business or just an online business, the launching of the business takes a lot of time and expertise. But then also, then you have to get into the marketing of the business. So we try to take somebody from that initial concept to getting their business off the ground and started so that they could take that to the marketplace.
Excellent. You brought up a great point that I think probably almost every new business owner struggles with. So, because they leave the job, I can build a better widget, but they were only working on the widget. They never dealt with the marketing, the HR, the accounting, none of that stuff. So now that's a whole new world to them. Like, what do you mean? What's sales tax license? That kind of stuff. But what do you think? I know I've heard it a million times, but the number one problem with entrepreneurs, small business owners starting up, what do you think their number one problem is that you hear all the time?
You know, Steve, the one thing I always hear is their mindset isn't right in terms of they have the fear. Fear holds everyone back for many things, but I find it so prevalent in starting a business. They always make excuses. Oh, I don't have the money. I don't know this, or I can't do this. And it's all based on fear. And I actually started one of the programs I do is I offer a course on mindset of the entrepreneur, which, Steve, as you know, mindset is everything. That's going to really determine your success or failure, even from the get-go. If you're thinking that you're not going to be successful, you're 100% right. Because already in your mind, you programmed yourself to do that. And you're going to carry out your plan just like anything else. So what I find, and I'm sure you find this too, is I find a lot of times people get in their own way. They always come up with the what if this, what if that. And it's almost always negative.
Right.
It's not, what if I make $1 million? It's like, what if I can't make any money? They always think about it as a negative mindset. So I feel like the mindset and then just the fear of it all is really the number one thing I find.
That's a phenomenal point because a lot of business owners don't think of that. They're thinking, right. Okay, well, I need to get my website and business cards and all that. Folks, I'm telling you now, I've launched businesses where I got my business card 9 months after I started it. And you know what? It didn't hurt me one iota. When people go, you have
I hear you.
I don't. Give me yours. I'll send you my email. I had a branded email address. Guess what? I'm gold.
You're 100% right, Steve. It's funny because one of the businesses I owned was a printing company. And you would think the business card was gold because the way people treated that. And then many times, as you said, they were just starting their business and they're like, I need that business card. I need that business card. And it's just interesting because, like you said, a lot of times people like to get hung up on a detail that at the end of the day, you and I've been through so many times, you know that that's just something that can wait, but you got to get your head straight first.
I couldn't agree more. I just worked with a coach last month, brought on a new coach, and he's never been in business, but he's a total expert in marketing and leadership, just spot on, but he's never had to own his own business. So that's his focus. And it's like, so we're going through it and I go, we're going to have your LLC, your taxes, all that stuff, your name, your URL, all within 1 hour and under $100 in your state. Mm-hmm. It's like, there's no way. And I go, yeah, there's a way.
Yeah, exactly.
But I need a website, but I need that. It was all buts.
Yes.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. We're gonna do a landing page for free, and guess what? We're gonna build it right here, right now.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And you know, having a business coach or having some mentor help you get you through that is why you and I do what we do. Is because we are able to work with the aspiring entrepreneur, the person who's never gone through it, hold their hand, take them step by step through it, so then they can thrive and then they can see it the way you and I see it now, and then they'll be on to their next business in no time.
Oh, absolutely. 7 business lives later and turning around 3 others. Here we are.
Exactly.
I'm hooked. Yeah. And another thing you brought up, I mean, they only know what they know. I worked with a company doing 12 million a year, and we started getting into the deep stuff in the business. We finally got some of his problems solved. And then I was looking at his tax returns. I'm like, you're listed as a sole proprietor doing over 10 million a year. And he's like, yes, I am. And I'm like, your CPA ever talked to you about this? No. I'm like, okay, you're 8 years in business, over 10 mil. You're a liability waiting. And I had explained to him, second I said that, he starts hyperventilating. What do? I go, first, we're getting you a new CPA.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to get you a protected
Wow.
here. Well, that opened because he only knew what he knew. And you've been talking
Exactly.
about this. His mindset when he started the business is, I'll be the business. And then it turned into a business. Now, folks, I'm saying that differently because it's like people in 2020 had struggles because they got shut down for whatever, and they couldn't sell their business because it wasn't a business. Some people build something that's a great revenue stream for 40 years. Great, but no one wants to buy that.
No.
What are your thoughts on, like, when you start with a company, do you talk about the end in mind? How do you guide them to that?
Steve, that's a great question because oftentimes when I bring that up, it is so over anybody's head if they've never started a business. And I'll be honest with you, when I started my first business, if somebody were to say that to me too, I probably wasn't in the right mindset at that time as well. But I believe that you really need to really think about what's your end game? What is it that you want to do? Because a lot of times, just like we're talking about here, many people have great businesses that they've started to create a great revenue stream for themselves, but they're essentially creating their own job. And then that's something where you have to really separate yourself from your assets to be able to have them as a sellable value. And that's where I try to talk with people, like I did with the gentleman who the auto repair business. What's your end goal? Do you want to be repairing cars the entire rest of your life? And he was like, no, that's what I like. That's my business. So I thought I would be doing that. Well, you have to really think about that when you're like 80 years old. Do you still want to be underneath the hood of a car or whatever? And if the answer is yes, okay, then that's what it is. But you really need to know. And I often talk to people about 5 and 10 year plan because in the first 5 years, you're really going to be starting your business, building it to whatever level you're going to get it at. The next 5 to 10, you're really going to start profitability. You're going to really scale it. You're going to see where you want to go. So at that point, you may want to start thinking about other outside sources of investments to scale it further, or even positioning it for a sale or acquisition. What is it that you want to do? So we talk about it just to keep it in mind so that they understand that they should not be the person that's all about, because if at the end of the day, it's a business that's all about you, just like you said, Steve, nobody's going to buy you because they remove you from the process. There is no business.
Exactly.
So that's the one thing that is so difficult to talk to people about, especially the people where they are the business themselves. Like if they are the auto repair person, if they are the accountant, the accounting is what they do. Build the business around your accounting and have other people in place, not just you. Then it's a business that you can sell, you can profit from, you can work. And that's the thing. It's a challenge to teach that, but it's something that must be had. That conversation has to be had.
I couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, I agree with you. My first business, I was thinking never exit strategy. Business was booming. I was bringing on people.
Right.
I was part of the tech bubble. Well, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And there was my exit strategy right there. Not
sometimes you're forced, right?
It was a forced. Yeah. And you talked about the mindset. So, I mean, I did what any entrepreneur would do. I went in my room and curled up in a corner and cried for 3 days and then got out of it. And I opened up my second company on the fourth day and started working with the companies that were still around from the tech bubble. And you mentioned about the end goal. It's like a month and a half to 2 months into it, I started thinking of the end in mind. So I started to realize I need to build a business this time, not around me. So I had to learn, I learned how to scale and not me doing everything.
And that's so true, because that's the hardest thing. Because and you know this, I'm just talking to your listeners. Nobody is going to work as hard as you do on your business. Nobody, absolutely nobody. I will say you want to get the best people in your business to work for you, because they will be able to manage the business well, or well enough so that you can kind of take a step back and just be the owner. But those are the type of things that you want to have in place, because at the end of the day, that person who's your number one guy, he doesn't want to be a business owner. Otherwise, he would have done it already. But he will be a great business manager. He'll be a great executive for your company, and he'll run it really well.
That's it. I preach, always hire smarter than you. So if you're going to hire someone to do your marketing and you're not well versed in it, hire the best dang person you can find and give them the tools and support to let them do their dang job. And they're going to help you grow your business like there's no tomorrow.
Absolutely, I agree, 100%.
I did that in one of my businesses. They were like, "Why are you even in here?" I was like, "Oh man, I can't even go into my own business." But then I realized I hired phenomenal people.
That's the way to do it.
And I was
Absolutely.
happy as a client. I worked less and made more. Go figure this.
Yeah. That should be the goal.
So we talked about a lot of startups. What do you see one of the challenges are, once they get up, first 5 years, let's try to get to profitability. There's going to be a lot of rope. I always say it's like going through mountains, driving through Colorado. It's not just going straight up the mountain. It's twists and turns, and wait, I'm supposed to be going north. Why am I going south? All these kind of things. But once they get to that next level and you're really starting to scale it up, what do you see what some of the challenges are there for businesses?
So once they are gone through the gauntlet, if you will, the ups and downs, the side to side, step back and forward, many times they're going to go through a real cathartic process of what it is that they fully enjoy doing. So during that period of time, you've tried things, experimented, you really understand your business. And I mean, to the level that you understand everything from start to finish, because now you've been through it all. So, what I've been finding at that particular juncture in time, what the person usually wants to do is they want to either scale their business bigger, where they are able to use the lessons they've learned. And at that time, I usually explain to them, now you need to focus on what you love to do. Because at the end of the day, you can hire a resource for anything else, but you want to make sure, if you love the marketing, then focus on the marketing. If you love the numbers, then focus on the numbers. But the thing that you don't love, you're never going to get to. You're going to procrastinate on fully, and that's going to be a lacking area in your business. So during that particular point in time, usually they find the area that they want to really be a part of, that they love the most, and then they're going to really emphasize and focus on that. And that's going to help scale their business for the next 5 years or more.
That's it. That's great insight. And we all see it all the time. And it drives me nuts watching business owners try to do their accounting and they tell you, I hate accounting, I don't understand it. But why are you doing it?
Right.
So it's taking you 48 hours to do one form. You can give it to someone, it'll take them 15 minutes, and he loves doing it. And they're going to do it right.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing, is you don't want those three-letter words coming after you because you did something wrong. But I will say, and probably you did this too in the beginning, Steve. I did do my own books in the beginning. I hated it, but I will say, I did it. I learned about it, And it made me be a better manager of my financial accountants and so forth, because I understood the language that they were talking to me in. So I understood, and that's something that you want to have an understanding about things, but you don't necessarily have to be the person doing those things. And
Right.
there's a big difference.
And I couldn't agree with you more. All business owners should know all aspects of their business, but do you have to do it? And you
Right.
nailed something that I preach from the rooftops is financials, your numbers are the language of business, and you really need to know your numbers.
Absolutely. 100%.
Always keep an eyeball on them. Too many horror stories when people don't look at their numbers. So what would you tell someone who comes to you and says, hey, listen, I'm thinking about starting a business. What would you give them that first advice right out of the gate?
Well, I do come across many people that say that a lot. And the first thing I usually ask them is, well, how long have you been thinking about this? Because if it's like, real quick, one of my former partners in my first business, when he came across with me, he had attended a franchise show for 10 years and he never did anything about it. Yeah. So I
Whoa.
usually ask somebody, yeah. And then I usually ask the person, how long have you been thinking about starting a business, or what is it that's driving you to start this business? Because there's either something, whether it's a life event, an occurrence. COVID changed the world for many reasons and many things. And I think a lot of people are now valuing their time with friends and family, but their overall value to what they're bringing to either a marketplace or employer. And I found a lot of people are starting their own businesses because they want more control and so forth. So there's so many reasons. So I often first ask them, how long have they been really thinking about this? I also ask them, what is the main reason you want to do this? And what is your perception of what you want to do? Is that perception? What is it? And if I get a story of how I want to be able to control my own life, I want to work when I want to work, and I don't work weekends and nights, and I only want to work 4 hours a day. I kind of explained to them, I understand what you're talking about, but that's not the reality. And then we get into a more in-depth conversation because a lot of times people always see the entrepreneur who's completely successful, but they never see all the work that's been involved. I mean, I often think about a TV show like American Idol, and I think about that and how many people have gone to that show, and you're like, oh my goodness, that person's amazing. And they've never been discovered. And then the ones that do make it, you see that they put all this work and time in, and this was the opportunity that they finally got discovered. So think about all of the roots underneath before a tree grows to 100 feet tall that gets planted, because that's like what it is to be a successful entrepreneur. You're going to surround yourself with people, like-minded individuals, to really understand not just your business and industry, but what it takes to grow and build a business. You want to make sure that you have the support network behind you. You want to understand the vision that you have is a pathway that you have to carve to get there. And you really have to have the ultimate reason for what you're doing. And everyone calls it the why. And that's something that's really important. That'll drive your business and that'll help you get through the hardest of hard times and then enjoy the highest of high times. So a lot of times those conversations I have usually starts off with a joke or something. They aren't very serious about it and so forth. They say, I've only been thinking about it for, a week. Well, then you have to do a little more thinking. But at the same time, if you're like my ex-partner, 10 years to a franchise show and never started one, well, something was holding you back. And it gets back to like what we were talking about earlier about fear. So there's a lot of things that we have those conversations all the time. I'm sure you've experienced it as well.
Exactly. It's like when people watch the Olympics once every 4 years, or like whatever summer or winter, they see these amazing athletes and they're doing amazing things. They don't realize that person, since they were 5 or 6, have been practicing every single day 3 to 6 hours every day of their lives. And they had a support team around them besides their parents, because odds are their parents had to
Right.
drive them somewhere early in the morning to go practice before school, after
Right.
school. And the dedication and sacrifice they gave up to be there for that one, 30-second moment, maybe. It's amazing.
Absolutely. It's so true.
Business owners need to think it's great to see success stories, but you didn't see how it got there.
No, not at all. And listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I've many people want to have washboard abs, but they're not willing to put the time and effort to get there, and the hours in the gym and watching what you eat and being like that, and that's really what it takes to be there. And those are the things. Even as a successful business, you really got to put the work and the time in, and really be a great student of it all. So those are really the things that I always often get into those conversations with somebody, just to make sure that they understand and they're not just thinking of the glory of what it could be.
That there's no magic pill for this stuff.
No magic pill at all.
And I love the business owners think they're going to take shortcuts, and we always see what happens to them. They're gone.
Yeah, exactly. There are no shortcuts.
There's no shortcuts. There's a few ways, but those are like very, very rare.
Right.
Tell us what was like one major thing you learned about business throughout your dealings while having many businesses.
Well, one of the things that I've learned through the years of owning various businesses is that it gets back to what we were talking about with the drive and ambition of being an entrepreneur. It's really about understanding what it is you're looking to do and understanding how to get it. Because at the end of the day, we're in the best time of the world ever with the advent of the internet and all these connections and social media. We're able to really find whatever we want on the internet. When I have an employee come to me and they say they don't know how to do something, I kind of look at them. I'm like, you're on your phone all the time. Look it up. It's like YouTube is a great resource for learning anything. The internet is great to learn anything. But what I find is that there's still such a huge part of the population is as an entrepreneur that they don't really understand that there's always a way to get to the means that you're looking for. So I often find if there's something that's working that other people are doing, they're doing it for a reason. And then you can learn from that, learn about what the resources are, and put yourself in place to be able to use that to be successful. So I always just keep an eye open. I'm a lifelong student because I'm always reading. I'm always learning from others. I'm connecting with others, connecting even with competitors, because you want to just be able to build that alliance. You want to learn from them. They might be doing something that you want to be doing. So I often surround myself with the people that I want to become or just aspire to be, and just really learn from that. And that's something I tell anybody who's looking to be in business or are currently in business. If you're at the top of your game, guess what? There's still somebody that's better than you out there. And you want to always be really reaching out and understanding and being just thirst for knowledge and having that experience.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right. You got to elevate that room.
It sounds good.
Right. I mean, hey, listen, you could be in a room with kindergartners and feel really awesome because you know everything. But is that how you want to be?
There's always a bigger room.
Right. Exactly.
There's rooms you don't even know about yet, and you want to play in those rooms.
That's the truth. That's 100% true.
We're wrapping it all up, but what is one kind of final thing you'd like to leave everyone with?
That's a great question, Steve. One of the things that I really want your audience to know and understand. Now, I know that you talk to a lot of different people, business owners, growing their business, people getting into business. And at the end of the day, I just feel like, anybody has to fully understand that you don't know it all and you don't have to. And one of the things that I often tell anybody I work with is to understand that there are resources out there to be able to get you where you want to go. We mentioned I work with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, and in the circles that he's in, guess what? Those people also work with other people, whether they're business coaches or mentors. So I often tell everybody, even the top athletes, top Olympians, they have somebody that they're going to work with, somebody that they are going to rely on, bounce ideas and information on. And you don't want a yes man. You want somebody who's going to challenge you. So you want to have your support network, but also have somebody that's going to bring you to that next level. And you like want to elevate the room that you're in, make sure that you're not always the top person in that room, and play a bigger game, because at the end of the day, you're going to grow from it. Your business is going to grow from it. And just really make sure you understand that you can do anything that you focus on, especially if you have a plan in place and the right team behind you.
Exactly. I mean, if Michael Jordan had over 20 coaches, you can have one.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Because he knew the coaches would push him to be better. And he was at the best of the best, but he knew he could be better. He just didn't know.
Yeah, and they see things that you just don't see. You're
That's
doing it a certain way, and people are able to look at it objectively and make you think, have you ever thought of it this way, Steve? And that's something maybe you hadn't. So you try it out, and that's the way it works.
Couldn't have said it better. Well, James, we had a great time. Thank you for being our guest and sharing your knowledge and experience.
Steve, it was my pleasure. I really thank you for the time, and I hope your listeners got a really good information from our session here today.
Great. And James and everyone else, we have proprietary software where we can find any business, 50 to over 100,000 of hidden revenue in 45 minutes. Not only that, develop a customized roadmap on how to get that revenue. It's amazing with all its 497 million algorithms it uses. And we're always looking for more business case studies to put in our next book. So let us know if you want to see how much hidden revenue we can find in your business. So if you like James and other experts on this show, please make sure to give us a positive review, subscribe to the channel, like the episode, and share it with your friends. I'm Biz Coach Steve Feld, wishing you and your business much success.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Acceleration Software. We run your business through our proprietary software that uses 497 million algorithms, so we can find anywhere from $50,000 to over $100,000 of hidden revenue in your business all in 45 minutes. Our software will even provide us with an implementation schedule to turn that hidden revenue into actual profits. Contact Steve to set up a time to see how much hidden revenue we can find in your business. We hope you liked today's guest on $1 Billion Marketing Secrets Over Coffee. If you'd like to see how much hidden revenue we can uncover for you, well, click on the link in the show notes to speak with Steve. Mention the podcast when you book the meeting. You will receive a special gift. Make sure to like this episode and subscribe to this podcast to hear other great proven business leaders share their strategies to help you grow your business.